Hello gorgeous and welcome to my channel, Peace, Art, and Controversy. I'm Vykkë Sixx and I'm so excited for the look that I will be sharing with you guys today. This is going to be just a really basic halo eye. You can do this halo eye with pretty much any color palette that you choose. I'm just going to show you kind of the basics as to how to blend it together, how to really add a moderately defined crease, and how to make sure that it is suitable to be dressed up or dressed down. As always, this is a full list of all of the products that I used in this look, including both of the palettes, the Morphe 15H and the Morphe 18F. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, I always start with my good base, which is my all-nighter primer. Once again, my favorite. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation today. It's always a really good base, especially if I'm going to be going through a long day. This is an everyday makeup look. This is something that you can wear to work. This is something you can wear out. This is something you can wear to a family gathering or whatever the occasion may be. And the intent for this video is just to give you a good baseline understanding of how to do a halo eye with any color palette that you may decide to use. So a halo is going to be kind of like a smoky eye, except you are going to darken both the inner corner and the outer corner of your lid with a brighter center spotlight on the middle of your eyelid. So for those of you who may not have ever heard of a halo eye before, may not have seen it yet, that is just basically what it is in layman's terms. The first step that I always do after my base is going to be my eyebrows. I feel like your brows really do set the tone for the rest of your face. Sometimes I do like to do a thinner, more pointed brow. Sometimes I like to do a little bit bolder, larger, longer, or sometimes even more dramatic brow as far as the darkness or whatever it may be. I always like to use the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade just because it is a very, very creamy formula. It allows you to build on it a lot. So if you are wanting to really get a good gradients in your brows, so you'll have some lighter areas, some darker areas, and some areas that look just like natural hairs, even if it is just the pomade, that's what this is really, really good for. I'm using the Morphe eyebrow brush. It is so thin and it is so smooth, and it's honestly like a pretty inexpensive brush. I did get it in a kit, but it is magnificent. This is actually the Born This Way Too Faced concealer that I'm using to shape my brows. I always like to do the concealer before I do my eyelid primer because the eyelid primer does a really good job of kind of blending together with that concealer without me necessarily needing to worry about the tackiness of the Anastasia brow primer all the way up to my eyebrows. That way I can utilize as much of my lid as I need to without necessarily having to use the entire thing. I generally like to apply my eyeshadow primer with a brush just because it is fairly thick and this does tend to give me a little bit more control over it. However, if you wanted to apply it with your fingertips, you very well could do the same, or even with a blending sponge. That was something that I did at one point as well. Anytime that I'm going to do any sort of eye look, I always give myself kind of a base color, something a little bit neutral, something that's going to give my eyelids a nice gentle shadow without necessarily covering anything too much or really choosing one direction or the other as far as the palette goes. I am choosing to start with a medium bright red here with my halo eye. I wanted to go ahead and give myself a good base and give myself a good general idea of where I wanted to start darkening up that eyelid. It's very important with the halo eye that you pay attention to where the natural curves of your lids are at so that you can really accentuate certain parts of your eye without necessarily overruling other areas of your eye. This is a very, very simple look. It does not take a whole lot of practice, but it does take a little bit of conscious effort to make sure that you're not just blending a bunch of colors in a bunch of random places. So I did go ahead and do a gentle cut crease and add a little bit of a champagne glitter in the center that is going to be the main halo of the eye, and I'm adding that red into the corner of my lid, as you can see. I'm really going to be packing that champagne color down as well because I really want to make sure that it's very bold and that it's very prominent. Another reason why I like to add in some of those darker colors after the cut crease and the champagne lid is so that I can actually minimize the amount of flaking that comes out of the glitter color. Everybody knows glitter colors tend to be a little bit unruly. They don't really like to stay in place. So now I'm going in there with a darker purple. I always feel like with brown eyes, purple is always a really, really good way to go, especially if you're going to be doing neutral smoky eyes or if you're going to be needing a little bit of a color transition. Purple's a really, really good one. I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting too overzealous with the darkness here. I didn't want to overrule the red colors and the brown colors that I had already put in by adding a ton of purple to the external of my eyelid. Again, this technique can be used with any color palette. You don't necessarily have to be using the colors that I'm using. I always like to grab a little makeup wipe and kind of straighten out the edges of my eyeshadow just because I like a nice crisp, clean eyeshadow line. Here I am reblending my concealer. I always do my concealer afterwards as well so that I can once again get a very crisp eyeshadow line, as well as cover up any sort of impurities, creases, or any falling that may have come from my eyeshadow colors. This is the Juvia's Place liquid concealer. It's honestly really, really great. I like to apply this one with my Jeffree Star Morphe Perfect Concealing Brush just because it actually allows a lot more fluidity within the actual product. And it does allow me to have a little bit more control over the product. So for areas like my nose and areas like my cheekbones, I'm really able to control the product a little bit differently than if I was using just a sponge. Because my concealers do differ in color quite a bit, I always like to even my face out completely with my Urban Decay Stay Naked The Fix powder. It's honestly like the creamiest, most magnificent powder on the face of the planet. Super full coverage, and it evens me out so well where I can still see my contour lines, but I'm not necessarily going to be battling this huge difference in complexion. I always like to apply it with a good thick powder brush as well so I can get pretty full coverage. After my blush, I always do the Anastasia Beverly Hills setting powder or any setting powder that you choose. The very end of my face, I generally like to do my under eye shadows so that I can really get as much definition or as much color as I possibly can. Then I do my bottom liner. This is the 24/7 Waterline Eyeliner by Urban Decay. Literally stays on so well. My favorite eyeliner by far for my waterline, absolutely. Now we're going to be using the LA Girl lip primer. I actually like it a lot more than some of the $20 and $30 lip primers that I've purchased. It's only a $4 primer, so if you are weary about getting a lip primer because you don't think it's worth it, definitely worth it. Keeps your lip products on all day, smooths your lips out for really nice application, and minimizes bleeding as well. So definitely something you should look into. $5 is not the end of the world, guys. This Kim K lip liner is honestly super pretty. I love the dark brown that it gives me around my lips with the Kylie Boy Bye liquid lip. So that's always a nice, gentle lip combination. I like to give myself a gentle ombre there. I always like to kind of line my lips first, and then if I want to add a little bit of gloss like I am here, this is the Buxom Dolly Plumping Lip Gloss. Add myself a little bit of color, a little bit of a pizzazz. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a full halo look. This look is good for any occasion. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can wear it to work, to school, to a home gathering, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for joining me this wonderful Monday. It has been great to see you guys back at my channel, Peace, Art, and Controversy, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Please follow my Instagram at Victonite, at Vykkë Sixx, as well as my Twitter at Victonite. Please also stay tuned for my talk on creativity and how creative outlets do contribute to your mental health and your overall well-being. Creative outlets are super important, and we're here to talk about it. So join me on Friday at Peace, Art, and Controversy for a great talk on that. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me. It's always such a gift to spend my time with you guys. Sending peace, love, and creativity. Vykkë Sixx out.